What's going on, guys? My name is Kyle and welcome back. Today, we're gonna go through how to clean some car seats. Now, whether you've had the same seats in your car for the last couple of years, or you did what I did and just got an extra set from the wreckers, they could be stained, look really gross. It's just not something that you want in the car. So today we're gonna use the Lancer. We're gonna do this project that I've been putting off for way too long, and we're gonna get these seats back to a semi-decent condition. Now, when doing a job like this, there's a couple of things that you wanna get your hands on. Obviously, some good microfiber will always help everybody, but you are gonna want a fabric cleaner and any other kind of cleaner that you might need for whatever material that your seats are made from. So in the Lancer, we have two different kinds of materials that make up our seats. We have a suede and we have genuine leather on the sides and the headrest. So we're gonna need a fabric cleaner and we're gonna need some leather wipes like I've got right here. So the leather wipes we're gonna use today are these ones right here. These are Meguiars Gold Class Rich Leather Wipes. They have a nice and easy pop top with a seal. You can close it back off. There's 25 wipes in here, which would be more than enough to do the seats at least twice and give it a really, really good finish. I've used these before on other leather surfaces and it works really well. So that's what we're gonna use for the leather component of the seats. Now, the fabric cleaner I'm gonna use is this one. It's a product from Bowdens' own. I've never used these before. I've never even seen them before, but it is proudly Australian, made and owned here in Australia, which is always a good thing to see. I mean, from what I've found online, there's a lot of people saying that this is pretty good stuff, but it does come with a different line of very specific things that do a very specific task. So we have one of their vinyl and fabric cloths here. This is just a microfiber cloth that helps get stubborn stains out of fabric. It's just a nice touch. And then they have this, which is called the Square Bear. Low absorbency, so you don't waste product, and it's just a soft sponge. So essentially, this one's gonna help us get the stain out of the seat, and then this one's gonna help clean up everything that's left over once we've got all the stubborn stains removed with the Square Bear. So looking at the instructions on the fabric cleaner, it says to spray some of this onto our Square Bear soft sponge and then dab at the stain until it gets removed. So I mean, it all seems pretty straightforward. So what I think we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the Lancer, bring it into the garage. I'll give you a bit of a look of what the seats look like now because it's not great. Mind you, we did pick these up from the wreckers and they were out in the weather for a very long time. We let them dry out as best as possible, but regardless how long you let them dry out in the sun, there's always gonna be a stain or two left over. So let's grab the Lancer, I'll bring it inside, we'll have a bit of a look over, and then we'll get ready to start our cleaning process. Let's do it. All right, let me show you what they look like before we do anything. Now, the reason that I've gone with the front passenger side seat is because this is the worst one. There's a very big stain right in the middle, as well as some smaller stains on the suede that we can't really get out without using chemicals. So we're gonna have a quick little look at what they currently look like, and then we'll start doing our cleaning process and see if it makes a difference. As I'm sure it's pretty easy to tell, they are super gross. So let's hope we can change that today. Now, the first thing that I want to do before I start even worrying about using the cleaner and the cloth and the sponges and all that sort of stuff, I'm gonna grab my workshop vacuum and give it a really good vacuum and get rid of all of the excess dirt and debris and all the stuff that's on top of the seats. We're gonna vacuum that off and then we can worry about the cleaning. Okay, now that the seats are vacuumed and ready to start cleaning, we're gonna hit it with some of this fabric cleaner as well as our Square Bear soft sponge thing. I have no idea who named these, but they definitely need a raise. So what we need to do is we need to get some of the fabric cleaner and spray it onto the sponge. We don't want to hit the seats with the cleaner directly. We want to be able to control how much we use in that certain area. Now, it is important to do a test spot before you start anything too aggressive because you want to make sure that this specific cleaner is going to work well with your fabric. There'd be nothing worse than covering all of your seats with something that's going to change the way it looks or leave stains or other sort of issues with your fabric. So do a test spot first, and you should be good to go. So what we're gonna focus on first is these small little stains right at the end here. I think that'll be a perfect spot to do our test patch before we move on to this humongous stain right here. I think this one will be a little less noticeable if something does happen. So what we're gonna do is spray some of our Fabra Cadabra, again, fantastic name. We're gonna spray some of this onto our sponge, give this a bit of a test spot, and just see how it goes getting these stains out. Now, I don't really know exactly how much we're supposed to use. I've never used these ones before, so we're just gonna give it a kind of liberal, but not too much on the sponge, and then we're gonna dab it. Now, it's important when you do things like this to make sure you don't smudge or you don't rub, because if you rub some of these and don't dab them, there is always a chance that you can drive the stain in just a little bit deeper into the fabric, which is not something that you want. So it's always good to just dab onto the material, makes it a hell of a lot easier to get the product out and get the stain out. And you can already see here, you can see just how well that's working already. That's doing a great job. So I'm just gonna keep working on this stain and see if I can pull any more of that stuff out of there. But so far it does look pretty good. I'm gonna add a little bit more spray to another clean corner, and we're just gonna dab on this one again. Just dab it slowly. That's all you need to do. You don't really need to rush. I know that there's an urge, obviously, when you're cleaning things to just smudge your hand around and try and clean things up. But in a situation like this, like I said, it'll always make those stains worse. So the less you can do that, the absolute better. When you've got the stain out and then you're using, leather wipes on these parts of the seats, or if you want to clean it down after it's dried and whatever, no big deal, that's fine. But when you're trying to pull a stain out, the worst thing you can do is smudge it in further. So I mean, that so far is looking pretty good. I'm gonna leave this one to dry just a little bit because it's hard to tell now that the suede's wet if it is completely out. So we're gonna let this little patch dry. We're gonna work on, I think we'll start on the big patch because so far I'm pretty happy with the way this looks. We're gonna give the big patch a bit of a go because so far I'm pretty impressed with the way that this is working. So again, on the clean side of the sponge, we've got some more of that spray, and then we're just gonna dab and pull. Let's see how this goes. You want to try and let the fabric dry a little bit because it's going to be too deceiving to the eye. You'll think that it's all clean or you think it's all removed, it'll dry and it'll still be there. So let it dry, hit it again, and you can repeat this process as many times as you need until the stain is completely lifted, and then you can go over with a microfiber and it should be good to go. So we'll let these two parts dry. I'm going to hit some of the other spots that have got smaller stains, and we'll see if we can get this whole base of the seat ready and clean. All right, so I've done the rest of the stains and I've let these two dry just a little bit. Now with suede, like I said, when you move the direction of the fabric, it does expose or show things. So I'm just gonna sweep all of the suede this way, just so it's all one color, and it's gonna give us a much better idea of where the parts are still wet. So you can see little rings around here. Oh, I hope you can, I don't know how well it's gonna show up, but big wet patch here, which we've just circled with our finger. That's still some of the fabric cleaner that's getting dried off at the moment and coming out of the seat. So we're just gonna wipe that back again. And you can see there is still this stain that we had there when we first started, but it is a hell of a lot less than it was when we first started this job. So we're gonna let this one soak and dry completely. Once that's dry, we're gonna do this process again and see if we can get the rest of that stain out of the seat before we move on to all the leather components and give this one final clean. So I'll come back in about 5 minutes, see how this one's going, and hit this one again. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes and you can still see the big stain is there, but just feeling this, everything feels pretty dry. So I think what we're gonna do now is we're gonna load up again, hit this with a sponge again, see if we can get this stain any less than what it currently is, and just go from there. All right, we've just finished with our second run, so we're gonna do exactly the same thing that we did last time. We're just gonna sweep this across so we can see, and you can still see where these wet patches are. So we're gonna do exactly the same thing. Let this wait for 5 minutes, let it dry out, see what it looks like. Now we're gonna repeat this process as many times that we have to get these stains out. It might take 2, it might take 3, it might take 5, but the key is to just be patient, take your time, and with any luck, we can get these looking to as close to new as absolutely possible. So I'm gonna repeat this process as many times as I can. I'll do a bit of a count so we know exactly how many it took to get these ridiculous stains out. But another thing to keep in mind is that these stains were pretty aggressive. These seats, all of these seats here, got left outside at the wreckers in the rain. It was horrible. It was the middle of winter when we got these seats. So they were absolutely saturated when we bought them, and I can only imagine how much water would have got into these seats and damaged them. I'm super surprised by how good condition they're in considering how long they were left outside. So your stains in your seat or whatever your situation may not be anywhere near as bad as this. You may only have, one or two small stains that are quite light. These ones are definitely on the more excessive side of what you're going to be trying to get out of these seats. But I mean, if I can do it with these ones, then there's a very real chance you can do it with yours. So I'm just going to continue these steps until I can get the seat as nice as possible, and we'll have a bit of a look when I'm done. Okay, so I've gone through this process with the seat about 5 different times with the sponge and the fabric cleaner. The seat is a hell of a lot better than it was, but all the stains aren't out just yet. So what I think I'm going to have to do is leave this one overnight, let it dry up completely, and then tomorrow I'll hit it again. For the sake of the video, I'm not going to do that because we're going to be here for literally 2 days and that's just not going to happen. So I'm going to get this one finished up for the rest of the day. I'll let it dry tonight. Tomorrow I'll hit it with exactly the same process, but I can already see the more I've done this, the more stuff has come out of these seats. Again, like I mentioned at the start, your seats are not going to look like this. If they do, then you're just going to have to be patient and follow the same process. But if they're nowhere near as bad as this, then you're not going to have to go through the second day process or just continue for anywhere near as long as I've had to do this for today. So what we're going to do now is get that microfiber cloth, give it a really good wipe down and make sure that any stuff that's left on the top of the seat is going to be removed with that microfiber cloth. Then we're going to grab these leather wipes, give the leather a bit of a refresh, and just see how much of a difference it makes. Now, like I said before, the wipes that I'm using today are these Meguiars leather wipes. I find these to be really, really good. If you can't find these leather wipes, there are certain compounds that you can get, which is just a leather compound that you apply with a cloth. I really like these for the sake of convenience. And like I said before, it has a little snap top lid with a seal, so you know that they're fresh. And when you're finished, you can just close the lid and chuck them in a cupboard and they're ready to go. Now, the same rules apply with any leather cleaner, just as it does with the fabric cleaner. You want to do a test patch to make sure whatever chemical or whatever product you're using isn't going to affect the leather that's in your car. Because again, there is going to be nothing worse than covering all of the leather in your car with a product that's not going to be good for it or just doesn't act very well with that kind of leather. There is nothing worse. So always do a test patch with everything you do on your fabric just to make sure that it's going to be good. This is also one of the most satisfying parts of the entire cleaning process because as soon as you hit the leather with these wipes, the difference is extremely noticeable. So we're going to open these up, have a bit of a look at the seats, do a test patch with these leather wipes, and then get all the leather wiped down and ready to go. All right, I've just finished with all the leather wipes. So all the leather in the car is currently in the drying process, exactly the same as the fabric. You want to let it just soak in, do its thing, it'll dry, it'll be good to go. You don't have to do anything else with this. So once you've passed over with the microfiber cloth, that's it. Leave it to do its thing, it'll soak into the leather and it will look a million times better. So now that everything's done, I'm gonna let it dry overnight, like I said, and I'll hit the fabric again tomorrow. But for the sake of the video, I'm gonna show you exactly what it looks like right now after all the work we did today, with the idea that it's gonna be better tomorrow. So there you go. With a little bit of love and a little bit of patience, you can make a massive, massive difference without needing to spend a fortune on certain cleaners and other tools. Now, when it comes to cleaning car seats, if you don't want to take the approach that I took, having to dab the different stains and try and get things out that way, there are machines out there that you could buy or hire that would definitely make this job a hell of a lot easier. You can use things like fluid extractors, which pump water into the fabric whilst sucking it out at the same time. That can make a massive, massive difference. But if you don't want to spend the money on an extractor like that, this method works perfectly fine. If you guys want to find any of the products that I did use today, I'll leave everything linked in the description. The fabric cleaner and sponges are from a company called Bowdens Own. They're an Australian company, which is always fantastic. And then you have the Meguiars stuff, which I'll leave in the description as well. If you want to use them, use them. If you don't, you don't, but at least then you know how it works. If you guys like this video, don't forget to leave it a thumbs up. Also subscribe. I post new videos every week, You don't want to miss them. If you guys want to join us on any of our social media, all the links will be in the description. I'd love to have you there. Now I need to go back and do the exact same thing with every other seat in the car, so I'm gonna go do that. I'll see you in the next one. I love you. Bye!